now, Senator John McCAIN, Republican from Arizona, who sits on the Senate Armed Services and Homeland Security Committees. The passport of this dead gunman, Michael Zehoff-Bibeau, Senator, Canadian authorities had pulled his passport because they believed he was an al-Qaeda or ISIS sympathizer, might head overseas to try to join jihad. You know, people say, okay, it's great that they had an eye on him, but some say, you know, maybe if they had let him go overseas, there wouldn't have been this bloodbath in Canada. I'm curious whether you think seizing the passports of suspected terrorists is the way to go.
Well, I think it's obviously the way to go, but allowing him to go overseas, the probability or possibility that he may return after fighting in Syria and Iraq is very strong, and that's our greatest concern. One of my greatest concerns is that so many Europeans and a couple of hundred Americans are fighting over there in Syria and Iraq, and they have U.S. passports. All they have to do is get on a plane and come back to the United States of America. So I think we have to probably keep an eye on people that we suspect here in the United States, but to think that just by them going to the Middle East gets rid of the problem, I think is really not an accurate depiction of the threat that they face, that they present us with.
Would you advocate legislation then to do the same thing that Canada does, to seize the passports of Americans who are suspected of either going overseas or wanting to go overseas to join that fight?
Yes, and I think we need to have more congressional hearings so that the American people understand the nature of this threat, how effective this ISIS propaganda over the internet is affecting young Americans. We now, you know, the story you've been carrying about the 3 young girls that wanted to go fight in Syria. Have no doubt that ISIS is using the internet and other social networking to recruit and to motivate people who are inclined to join that kind of radical extremism, and it's not going away anytime soon.
Well, let's talk about ISIS. Obviously, President Obama has ordered airstrikes in Syria as well as in Iraq. The latest word is the Syrian strikes have killed more than 500 people, the bulk of them fighters from ISIS, about 30 others said to be civilians. How would you assess the progress of our battle against ISIS?
Minimal. The battle for Kobani continues, and it goes back and forth, but the battle for Baghdad has begun. Not a frontal assault on Baghdad, but the suicide bombings, the IEDs, the assassinations, the fomenting of strife between Sunni and Shia. They are getting close to the Baghdad airport. They are getting, even if they continue with this success, they could shell the green zone where our embassy is, as you know. And they're making gains all over Iraq and in Syria. We are now telling young men that we will train them and equip them in Saudi Arabia and send them back to have be barrel bombed by Bashar Assad. It's immoral. Bashar Assad continues to attack the Free Syrian Army while we attack ISIS, and there's some kind of unholy arrangement there between Bashar Assad and ISIS, and it's really terrible and immoral.
I just wanted to get your take on some new information that's just out about taxpayer dollars hard at work, Senator. The annual waste book on government spending is out. It showed that the feds shelled out big bucks for things like massages for rabbits and teaching sea monkeys synchronized swimming. In this era, when we are still under the sequester, when our military is being shrunk to such very low levels, what do you say about some of the spending that's been uncovered?
Well, I say I'm so grateful to Dr. Tom Coburn, who is leaving the Senate, and some of us should try to step up to do many of the things that he's done. He is really marvelous in bringing our attention to it. And yes, it's ludicrous, and we kind of laugh. But meanwhile, because of sequestration, Army officers fighting in Afghanistan are receiving notices that they're being involuntarily separated from the United States Army, and we're spending money on trash like this. So it's not so amusing when you think about the effects on our military of sequestration, which, by the way, must be repealed, and while we are spending money on these kinds of, ridiculous. People don't believe it, but
yeah.
Actually, it's true.
And it is appalling. Senator John McCain, Republican from Arizona, it's good to have you on. Thank you.
Thank you.